and gone after, the positions that they needed. I wish they would have addressed it a little bit earlier in the draft. You know what I mean? Because that was what I was thinking. I was like, going into the draft, okay, we're going to go after, we need interior guys. We got some guys on the edge that can get after him a little bit. We got Bobby back. Probably need another linebacker or two just to have depth. And then you got your guys on the back end. The guys they got are some beasts. Like, the guys they got are really good. I just didn't think that's the position they were going to go after. So I do think we still need some more guys in the middle to be able to shore up that pass rush, but also, honestly, just to stop the run so you can get to the pass, right? So we need some guys in the middle, I think, to just get depth. The one thing that was consistent with us when we were playing is we had a lot of depth. A lot of guys don't remember, Michael Bennett, myself, we did not start that year. I think in order to have a championship team, you got to have some depth, and I think that's what we're lacking right now.
What, you agree with that, Dave, in terms of depth? I mean, I think we're working with some unknowns. You have an idea of who Reed is based on what he was here, and I don't know how much he's changed as a player. Does he still have it? Is he better than he was? I mean, he's kind of a question mark in terms of just, what version are you getting of him? Maybe he's even better. Draymond Jones, don't really know what he brings. You talked about the guy that wrote the article. It said it would have been redundant to get Jalen Carter because you've got Draymond Jones. So,
yeah, that he plays that style, and if that's the case, I mean, look, we'll see what happens with Draymond Jones. I mean, I know that the Seahawks wanted him in the trade with Russell the year before, and the Broncos weren't willing to give him up, and then he was discontent in Denver. I don't know if we want to call him a malcontent because people called. Well, it was one guy that texted in and did the the Cliff Averill thing. But
about Averill being malcontent.
Yeah.
Everybody, we were telling him that his face was wrinkled up. He's looking at it like,
what?
Huh?
Yeah. Well, I was looking to tell Cliff. Yeah, everybody in Detroit was a malcontent because they were terrible. So,
but Jones, by the way, on ESPN listed at 6'3", 281.
Yeah, I mean, so he's not that type. Here's what I would say. I'm really not nearly as worried about the depth at defensive line as I am how are they going to play it. So, and that's...
You're talking 4-3-3-4?
Well, just how they handle their gaps this year. And Cliff and I were talking about it in here about how, typically, and, I pounded the table on this, like, you got to know where your gap is when the ball is snapped. You can't be reading that. There's no time for that. And they were reading it. I mentioned the play with Josh Jacobs. Maybe that was that. Maybe it was a different play, but I saw it a number of times where, there's two linemen that are going to double the nose guard, and then one of them's going to go up to the next level to hit the linebacker. Well, you got to have some momentum coming downhill, and both of the linebackers were sitting 3-4 yards deep. So they weren't responding to what the offense was doing. They were just frozen, and so now all the momentum is coming at you. To me, when there was a 4-yard separation between me and the guard, I'm trying to cover 2.5 yards of that 4 yards. I want to try to come downhill and hit him. So to me, I'm okay with who they have. I'm just curious how they're going to play it because, last year, Cody Barton is a good linebacker. Sorry. And he looked totally lost and totally confused. And, I thought Jordan Brooks kind of played through that. Like, there weren't a lot of times where he looked terrible because he's so aggressive and he plays so hard and he's such a hammer that I feel like it didn't really show up as much for him. But that's to me is my main concern. And I remember, Cliff, he was like, yeah, absolutely. You got to know, where you're going. So, I just hope that that's what I worry about the most, that if you're going to try to play defense by reading and the two gap thing, I don't think it works, And, here, the old fashioned two gap used to be, and I think a lot of people don't really know what that means. Enough to the point where I'm like, okay, I got to go ask somebody and say, I'm right about this, right? Because it's been a long time since I played. It used to be that you're head up on a guy, you take him on, and then you play side, which side the ball is going to. If it's going to your right and his left shoulder, then that's the side you play. You shed the blocker and go get him. That's two gapping. If he goes the other way, you're playing the other side.
So you're not making a commitment until you see which which way the
where
play's
the
going.
running back's going. Yeah. So, and that's a hard read because a lot of times you can't see.
Well, but then you're delaying everybody behind you.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect. So, the linebacker's waiting for you to read, and then Quandre Diggs is waiting for the linebacker to read because he's going to come fill in. And, there was a lot of times where I thought Quandre looked bad, and it wasn't his fault, So, that to me is the biggest challenge, I think, for them is to get that right because, look, I don't think that they were just awesome at run defense in the Legion of Boom years when they were, number one defense for year after year after year. I mean, they were good, but it was never a problem. It was never like they just went out and just got gashed. I mean, last year, how many times did that happen? Whether it was
a lot.
Carolina and
Raiders.
the Raiders and the Rams when they weren't even very good at